Hello, welcome to the Clark Blue Podcast post-match reaction. I'm Dan Robertson, joined by the poor man's Matt Kendrick, if Twitter is to be believed. Dan Bardell, thank you for joining me this evening, getting me out of a little bit of a hole. How are you?
I mean, you were really so desperate to get that out. You said Matt Kendrick wrong.
I know, yeah.
You were so
Not been a
desperate
great day.
you were so desperate to make that joke. But yeah, whoever said that on X, it did make me laugh. In fairness, when you told me, so fair play. But yeah, I'm good. A lot better than you. I mean, the game. It looks like the game has made you very emotional.
Yeah.
Like you've been crying for 90 minutes.
It has. What a delightful evening we've just seen there. Now I've got cold and a cough. So I've been sneezing all day, eyes are watering, sore throat. I don't really want to be here, to be honest, but we had such a great game to talk about. I'll soldier on for the 20 minutes or so and let you do all the talking. You're the guest anyway. That's
I mean,
what
you're a hero. This is what you get paid for. Literally,
Exactly.
This is literally what you're being paid to do. You're
Exactly that.
soldiering on. If you'd called in sick, there'd have been no show, would there? Because
Precisely.
I couldn't do a show on my channel because the producer just went on holiday without telling me. So I was like, you know, do a video tonight. He's like, no, I'm in Wales. Oh, cheers. All right then.
Just wouldn't happen on Claret and Blue, would it? Just would not happen.
No. Although you've had a similar thing because Kendrick was supposed to do this, and he's just decided he can't do it.
Yeah, the poor man's Matt Kendrick, replaced by Matt Kendrick, who also couldn't be bothered to do it because he didn't watch the game because his BT app didn't work. Although, to be fair, I had similar problems with the app. It said, didn't it, recently? We'll talk about the game in a second, by the way, about like how we're moving away from TNT Sports and going to Discovery Plus. It's said it for a few weeks now. Prepare yourselves, activate your account. I didn't. I logged on at 5:40, couldn't get on. So I did miss the first 5 minutes of the game trying to sort that out. So that was a pain in the backside. But I did watch the game. I enjoyed it very much. As I said, you'll do all the talking here, despite my long-winded intro. I am going to sneeze. I am going to have to blow my nose. I will mute myself when that happens if I can. Dan, let's talk about the football then. Unai Emery masterclass, I'm calling that. Lift off in Europe. Very good, I thought.
I mean, that's what I put in a tweet after the third goal went in. That this is an Unai Emery European masterclass, and that's what we assumed would happen. I think in Europe, the Hibs game aside, the first two games in the group have been difficult, and you could argue that AZ away was potentially the hardest game in the group. I actually always thought the first one would be the hardest in Poland in Warsaw, but Villa made light work of a team that went far in Europe last season. From minute one, we were on it. We made a few changes, but those changes worked. It was nice to see a few players who've been on the outskirts of the team, who've not been starting, come in and make an impact. Obviously, a couple of them have scored goals as well. So it's as thoroughly professional a performance as you'll see away in Europe, and it's brilliant for so many Villa fans that have made their way out there. Many of them without tickets as well. They're all going to have an unbelievable time tonight, and they've already been having an unbelievable time. But for those in the ground, I'm really pleased for them, because they're the ones that have been everywhere in the championship, watched some dross at times, and spent an awful lot of money, and they're there tonight having the time of their lives, and I'm really pleased for them.
Yeah,
made me ill now from nowhere.
Yeah, I've delivered you some germs via the internet. Some comments coming through already. Perfect, says James. Class game, says Lewis, and a lovely pun from Jason. Easy as you like. Easy as looks better written down than said. Easy as you like. Probably not quite fair to say the Leon Bailey and Youri Tielemans show, but a couple of changes that you mentioned in there, particularly in the first half. I thought Tielemans was very good, as was Bailey. Obviously scored and involved in the Watkins goal as well, which was a lovely move all round, wasn't it, to be fair? Just talk me through the goals individually before we speak about the players. Pick of the bunch, any of those goals stand out to you as being that?
Bailey's was a really good strike, wasn't it? I liked all the goals, actually. There was aspects of all the goals that I liked. Four different goal scorers as well, which is always a positive. The first one, I'm go through them individually, I may as well. The Bailey goal, he does some lovely work and then tries an absolutely ridiculous flick that doesn't come off at all. Somehow the ball bounces back to him, and on his weaker foot, he absolutely lashes it home. Really good finish. And Bailey's been really productive so far this season in terms of goals. He hasn't started every game, but maybe in some ways, Greg said this in one of my shows earlier on in the week, because he's not started every week, because has the pressure off him a little bit. There's less pressure on him to deliver, and he seems a bit more relaxed, and he's scored some really nice goals already this season. Probably the second one was my favourite, just because of who it was. I think Tielemans has took a bit of stick All of it undeserved, in my opinion. I think when he's been in and out the team, well, mainly out the team. When he has played, he's played with a completely wholesale change side, and he's not shone. He's battling with two really, really good players in that central midfield position, and it's a battle at the moment that he's not winning, and rightly so, because those two are a great partnership. So he's moved club. He'll be down because he's not been playing and not made the impact that he would like. But it was a little tweak from Emery. He's played some games kind of wide left in Ramsey's position that Ramsey plays, cutting in to make the box, and it's not really happened for him. Not really worked. But we saw at the tail end of the West Ham game that he kind of played basically in Diaby's role as a second striker, but a lot more withdrawn. I called it a false 10 Twitter earlier, because I had absolutely no idea what else to call it. I'm not sure that false 10 is a real thing. It's probably not. So he did that again tonight, which I liked. But it was also quite fluid with Bailey coming inside and Tielemans drifting out. And that was the main thing that I thought caused Alkmaar real problems in the first half. I don't think they knew how to deal with that fluidity and that interchange. And it'll do him the world of good to score a goal. He's a really good player, Tielemans, someone who I've rated as soon as he came into the Premier League. And I dreamed of us signing someone like him a few years ago. And it just says what a good place this football club is in, to have a player like that who can't get in the team. Watkins gets his customary goal at the moment as well as a tap-in, but nice to see him in the right place. And then it's always good to see McGinn score, because the goals really dried up for him over the last probably 18 months before Emery came, and he wasn't getting on the score sheet. And he's got a few goals now this season. I think it's 3 as he got now. He's got 2 in Europe, and it was a really clever, nice finish and great work from Bailey again. So the encouraging things really for me are Tielemans, and Bailey was involved in 3 of the 4 goals, if my memory serves me correctly as well. So just a night full of real positives, really. I can't come up with a negative, and we made light work of a game that potentially could have been really, really difficult.
Yeah, I was concerned about this game. I thought this was going to be the most difficult game, and I think John or Matt said it earlier in the week, that we've kind of been waiting for the European journey to lift off a little bit. Legia Warsaw was obviously vastly disappointing, and as good as John McGinn's last-minute winner was at Villa Park 2 or 3 weeks ago, Swansea Mostar game wasn't anything to write home about, really. But tonight was kind of going up another gear, wasn't it? We're sitting now top of the group, but with the second game the second game of tonight kicking off probably now. So by the time people are catching up with this tomorrow, we'll see where Villa are in the group, of course. But a really good performance all round, and as we said, Emery masterclass, and the kind of performance I expected to see Villa put into the European games in every game so far, and that's not been the case for various reasons. But I do hope this is now the beginning of Villa going on to win the group and hopefully, obviously, going far in the competition as well.
Yeah, I just liked the game plan tonight. It felt like we were ready for this one. Unai Emery knows a hell of a lot more about football and opposition than I do. But in some ways, for Emery, maybe this was the easiest one to prepare for, because there's probably a lot more footage out there of what Alkmaar do. And I'm sure Villa's analysts get hold of all the footage that's necessary. But Alkmaar are a bit of a more known identity, and we've seen Emery coming up with individual game plans against good opposition in the past. And I felt like tonight, that was what happened. It was almost in the other 2 games we didn't really know what to expect, whereas tonight we come up with a plan. Like I say, that fluid interchange between Bailey and Tielemans, I think, really caused them problems in the first half. And then we still had Dougie and Kamara in there, who really did control that midfield in the first half as well. And the directness of Bailey and Watkins, it was something that Alkmaar just didn't really have an answer for. When I saw the team selection, I did think it would be a big night for Carlos and Longley, but really, that again, they navigated that game with relative ease. We had a bit of a sticky spell at 4-0 where we conceded. That was a good goal from Alkmaar as well. That was a hell of a strike, and then they kind of came into it for 10 minutes. But it's difficult when you're 4-0 up not to take your foot off the gas when you know you've got a Premier League game coming on Sunday as well. But no, Unai Emery probably won't focus on the 4 goals and how well we played up until that point. He'll probably focus on the fact we conceded and then had a sticky 10-15 minutes. The players will probably have to watch that back tomorrow.
Yeah, Neil will already be on the plane back, won't he, looking ahead at Luton and getting ready for that, which is also an important game for Villa's Premier League aspirations and making it 12 unbeaten at Villa Park. And we spoke on the phone the other day about the record. I think is it 13 for Villa, we were saying?
If we win, then I think we've got 2 more to equal it.
At Villa Park. Yeah, so Luton and Fulham are the next 2 home games. So without getting ahead of ourselves, you'd like to think Villa will be able to match that record. Couple of another quick comments. One from Rich. Did I read one from Rich before? I might have done. It says Leon socks. We're getting some comments online during the game. Short socks equals better performance. We love someone with short socks, don't we, at the Villa?
I mean, nice kit tonight, I will say, on
Yeah,
on the kit thing. That kit was made infinitely better by having Aston Villa Foundation on the front. I don't know what it was, but it just looked
We
way
spoke about
better,
that in
didn't
the
it?
last European game, with having it blank. I said like it would be nice for the club to do something like the foundation, or
Oh,
obviously
did you?
something like Acorns. But we said the cynical nature of football probably means that wouldn't happen. So it's nice for them to have done something like that, because as much as I like a sponsorless shirt, having a sponsor on or something in the middle, at least, I suppose you wouldn't call the Villa Foundation a sponsor, just makes the kit look more complete. And that was a nice touch to see that third kit with that on tonight.
Well, I know a few kit experts and people who are experts in terms of like basically sorting shirts for you, getting numbers put on the back and things like that. And I was speaking
Yeah.
to TK earlier, who does lots of Villa fans shirts, and I've got the third shirt ready to send over to him, and he's gonna put like the European Watkins on the back for me, do the patches and all that jazz. And I said to him, what are the chances of you taking the sponsor off and getting the Aston Villa Foundation, like a replica version of that, put on the front? And he was like, yeah, we'll make that happen. So
Nice.
I'm gonna get that done in memory of Villa's best European performance for a long, long time, probably since Ajax, maybe. That's
Probably,
Villa's
yeah.
best European performance, and I couldn't even tell you what the best European performance was before that Ajax game. You know, there's not many European nights that stand out in my memory, other than, you know, in that 97-98, which you won't remember, UEFA Cup run where Villa got to the quarters and got knocked out by Atletico Madrid. You know, there hasn't been many brilliant European nights for Villa. That felt like a classic night, and people will scoff at it and say it's only the Conference League, not non-Villa fans. But this is what we wanted. This was what we worked towards. Towards the back end of last season, to be in these games, and you know, to take it seriously tonight and go and win their 4-1 and give the fans that did go a real show and a night to remember. I'm really, really pleased with that.
Me too. I said after the West Ham game that I really loved that game, and watching that result, it felt like a good yardstick of where Villa had come to beat someone like that at Villa Park, who are a side that is around that top 8 mark and will want to be there at the end of the season.
Shows how confident we are as well. I think that game at the moment, like, confidence is just seeping through all the players. You know, we were winning games early on in the season, but I don't feel like the confidence level was maybe high because we'd lost a couple of games and we're tripping up in midweek games. At this current time now, it feels similar to how I felt towards the back end of last season when we were winning games. I think we're winning most of our games now. We drew at Wolves, but I think that was a decent result. But the shine was maybe taken off it because Watkins hit the post at the end. But I think overall now, the confidence in these players must be absolutely seeping through. And we look at the fixtures that are coming, and we're already on a great run. And if you look at the games that are to come, there's a real chance to go into December, you know, through in Europe and going really, really exceptionally well in the Premier League. And at the moment, I'm gonna back us to do that.
Yeah, likewise. And if we do win the group, our next Europa Conference League game would be, I think it's March the 7th off the top of my head, the first leg of the knockouts, which, you know, if we're qualified by December or won the group by December, to not have to think about Europe for 3 months, obviously gonna have to think about the Carabao Cup either. My nose is running, I'm gonna have to stop that.
You seen that comment from
It's
Bronte Koskinen? Apparently they hadn't lost in 29 European
Yeah,
games.
yeah, I was going to say their record's brilliant. I think they've won 7 out of 8 games in the league so far this season. I don't know whether that's just at home or overall. They've got a really good record. They're a good side. So to go there and play the way we did is testament to Unai Emery and the squad. I think that's a really impressive result.
I honestly think this is just, you know, like I said, it's a tough on paper, potentially a tougher opposition than the other two teams we've played. But I just think that's what Unai Emery lives for. He lives for games like this where he really gets to make that plan and go at a team and come up with something that he thinks will cause them problems. So, you know, hats off to him because he's done it again. How many good individual game plans where there's just subtle nuances from the game before? You know, the system never really changes, does it? It's a 4-4-2 out of possession with the box midfield, but there's always these subtle little changes in most games, I would say. And I think he's done a few things tonight that have tripped Alkmaar up. I think Villa at the moment must be a really difficult team for the opposition to prepare for, because you can look at what they do on the face of it and say, okay, they're going to play the same system that they always play. But I think by design as well, we were a little bit deeper tonight, but there was something we were doing, and I can't think how to explain it other than just say we were deeper, I felt like we were faster to spring and attack and slightly more direct rather than playing through the midfield, I would say, and the slow build-up. It felt a little bit more direct, passing to space by design tonight. And I'm just really, really impressed with our football club at the moment. You know,
Yeah.
I don't remember. We've had good times in my life. You know, I'm looking at I have seen us win a couple of trophies because I'm nearly 40. But like, this is
40.
the best I've ever felt as a Villa fan. This is the happiest I've ever been with what I'm seeing on the pitch, and it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, totally agree. I was going to mention before when you said like the last good European game before Ajax, I was going to joke about probably 1982 as the European Cup final.
There was a Inter Milan 1994 penalty shootout victory that I was at.
Yeah.
That was my first ever European game, and
was it?
That was a good one. It's a good
I
one.
was just about to mention that there was a comment from Simon saying since Barcelona in the Super Cup, my dad texted me saying Inter Milan. So my dad's obviously watching along live. Inter Milan is a shout out. Is that the Kent Nielsen penalty?
No, Phil King.
Phil King, yeah, that's the one. Was Kent Nielsen also Inter Milan penalty? Am I getting those mixed up?
Potentially, he played against Inter Milan. There was another game against Inter Milan, but I don't think I was born, or I'd have been very.
Phil King, the
young.
one with the celebration picture, like
the Muller shirt, in the Muller shirt, yeah. Phil King left foot penalty. Phil King, who wouldn't give me his autograph when I was a child.
You sound scarred by that interaction. What happened?
Ran into Dean Saunders, Phil King, and Neil Ampter. What a trio! And my mate had like a Dean Saunders Mitre Ultimax football. You know, this was an expensive bit of kit when we were younger. And he got Dean Saunders to sign it, which Dean Saunders did. And then we wanted to get autographs from the other two as well. And Neil Ampty signed. And then Phil King just went, no autographs today, lads. Penalty gone to his head. Penalty gone to his head. By the sounds of it, he didn't want to. He watched Neil Ampty and Dean Saunders sign everything, and then just said, "No autograph today, lads." It was very, very strange as a child.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm just reading comments at the same time. Rich and Bronte both say that Kent Nielsen scored against Inter Milan from open play. So I knew I wasn't mixing it up out of absolutely nothing at all.
I don't know what year that was because I would love to know if I was born or not. But
late 80s, maybe. Very early 90s.
I mean, I would have been born, but I wouldn't have been going to the football at that point.
Yeah, were you born late 60s, early 70s?
Steady on. Do you a favour, and you come on and try and rip me about age. Some people would argue you look older than me.
Well, some people would be wrong. Where are we with comments? I thought this was all right. You know, what's wrong with this?
That's Matt Kendrick would wear that if he had a job interview for promotion at Reach.
I thought a little half zip thing was. I thought that was in now.
You've got a bit saucy with the zip coming down a little bit, haven't you? One for the
temperature, mate. Got to keep it cool. I've known
for the ladies.
Cool. Speaking of ladies, Nick McMahon says, so all these years I blame my lucky shirt, pants, socks, or girlfriend. Turns out all you need is a world-class coach, top players, and billionaire owners. I mean, yeah, it's simple as that, isn't it?
Decent combo, isn't it?
Yeah, it's everything's kind of ticking along nicely, isn't it? 91-92 season for that Inter Milan Kent Nielsen goal that we were just talking about. We got slightly distracted, haven't we?
That's fine.
We did a feature on the last post-match show, the unsung man of the match, to highlight somebody away from the obvious. So Youri Tielemans or Leon Bailey are probably the ones that get the official man of the match vote this evening. But to speak about somebody slightly different, is anyone that goes under the radar as an unsung kind of hero?
I'd say maybe for the West Ham game as well, maybe Boubacar Kamara.
Okay, yeah.
Because he just doesn't. He makes the dirty stuff look really, really simple and effortless, so you almost don't know it's happening.
Yeah.
Usually, if a midfielder thunders into a tackle and wins you the ball back, you would notice that and say, "What a tackle!" But he's so good, Kamara. He doesn't need to do those things. He just puts himself in the right place and intercepts and just effortlessly nicks the ball off players without ever having to dive in. So maybe Boubacar Kamara. A few people are saying Longley. In the comments, again, feel a bit sorry for Longley because he comes in, plays every once a month, maybe, and that isn't easy to just come in and do that. And that could have been a banana skin tonight, and he acquitted himself really well. But I do think perhaps the game plan helped the players tonight, all the ones that came in, because Carlos and Longley didn't really have anything to do. The new kind of role created for Tielemans worked really well, and Leon Bailey must have been quite confident after his nice goal against West Ham, and he was given a bit of freedom to drift around and do what he wanted to do, and he took advantage of that.
Yeah, I was going to mention Long Lane also, maybe not specifically for a man of the match, but Long Lane and Carlos together to change the two centre halves together could have been a slight cause for concern with maybe match fitness or rustiness or whatever. Is it the first minutes that Concert's not played as well this season?
Yeah, I was thinking there's a few that have played like a lot of
Like
minutes.
every minute, yeah, or every game.
McGinn's another one who hasn't really had a rest so far this season. You know, Watkins has been taken out for the odd game. For example, it feels like Louise has started most games, even in the cups as well. I remember Kamara had a rest, didn't he, against Everton, but then he came on and scored. So, there's a few players who've been playing an awful lot of minutes in there, but it was good for Concert to get a rest, really. I would say I'm sure he's fit enough to play every game. Sometimes just a mental rest as well, so he can focus on what we've got to do on Sunday against Luton, because undoubtedly, he will come back into the team, as will Diaby. Yeah, Tielemans, probably, in fairness, will go back to being sat on the bench after a good performance. But it's the later on in the season, we might need these players if injuries come in. These players need to have played minutes, and we've enabled that tonight. We've enabled a few to get some minutes under their belt.
Do you think there's any chance that because we're all kind of expecting Luton to be an easier game, that any of these guys could go on and play in that Premier League game as well? Like Tielemans could be rewarded and start again on Sunday because there's kind of less pressure because we're expected to win.
Probably not, because I think, Kamara and Louise are locks in that midfield, which then would mean Diaby would have to come out, but Diaby's been rested tonight, so that's obviously not going to happen.
Yeah.
So probably, unfortunately for him, he's going to find himself back on the bench. I don't think Emery will treat Luton lightly. I think you probably said the same team that we had at West Ham, perhaps with the exception of Bailey maybe getting a start instead of Zaniolo, potentially, because Bailey's probably done enough over the course of the last few weeks to deserve a start, and maybe you kind of need. I mean, Zaniolo's pretty unpredictable himself, but at Luton, I don't think Luton will be one of those ones where we score 4 or 5 or 6 like we have been doing. I think they'll sit in and make it very difficult for Villa. I think we'll win. Yeah. I think we might even keep a clean sheet, which would be nice, because we just can't seem to keep on whatever. It doesn't matter, because we're only conceding probably one a game, and we're always going to score a few goals at the moment, the way we're playing. But if I had to call a score for Luton, I'd probably say like 2-0 on Sunday would be my prediction.
Yeah, 3-0 is probably what I'll end up going for. Just I think if we score a couple, we could probably not run riot, but 3-0 is a nice scoreline, I think. And considering I got the last game spot on, why not go high scoring again?
Unbelievable you called that, by the way. That's an unbelievable.
That's what I do, mate.
That's one of the best predictions I've ever heard. That
I've got out of is it 8 Premier League games we played now?
9, isn't it?
Yeah, 9. I think I've got 3 or 4 correct scores out of the 8 or 9 in the Premier League.
Are you doing a predictions league or anything?
Yeah, me and John in the preview go against each other.
You're going well. I'm generally quite good at predictions from the other podcast that we do that you produce, the Premier League podcast, Edge of the Box, WhoScored.com's podcast. I'm top of the prediction league there. Bit embarrassing, but yeah, I'm top of that list. I've been decent at prediction. I've not called many Villa scores correctly. I think I called the Wolves 1-1 potentially.
Yeah, I think I did 1-1
the other week, actually.
Yeah. Nice. The only other thing I wanted to mention as a bit of an aside nonsense point was Martinez is just standing on the ball and be like, come on then. Come and press me then. Why not? Like, I'll just stand here and do nothing. And the Alkmaar players just looking at him like, wow, what now? What? Like this stalemate? He's
just got such arrogance, hasn't he?
There's a great picture of him just like that.
Well, it didn't matter, did it? Like, just come on then. For me to implement what I need to do, I need you to press me, and you're not pressing me, so I'll just stand here. There's nothing in the rules that says I cannot stand here with the ball at my feet for as long as I want. So you kind of felt like, if I have to do this for 45 minutes, I'm prepared to do it. that was what it felt like.
And you would back him to do that as well, wouldn't you?
He can do what he wants, can't he? He's the best goalkeeper in the world.
If I just ask you to look ahead slightly before we end then, wipe my nose. Up to, let's say, to the end of November, because there's a couple of tricky games throughout the month. So we've got Luton up next, obviously, then Nottingham Forest away, a whole week apart for those games, which will be a nice for Emery and the players to have that extra time. The next Europa Conference League game is AZ Alkmaar again at Villa Park. Then it's Fulham at Villa Park, Tottenham away, obviously top of the league as it stands, I think, and then Legia Warsaw also at Villa Park to end the month. A handful of tricky games throughout that month there, but there's nothing I'm really looking at there thinking, well, we could probably win them all. We could win 5 out of 6.
Other than the Tottenham game, you think we've got a very good chance. I mean, to be fair, we've got a good chance of winning at Tottenham as well. I know it was a very different Tottenham side, but we did it last season when they were actually going well. Tottenham at that point, they were going half decently at that time. I look at every game and just think, there's a chance we'll win. We seem to have put the big heavy 2 defeats that we've had behind us. If we have had a setback, we've always bounced back from it. So far this season, which I think is really, really important. Even last season when we lost 3 in a row under Emery, didn't we? And then we lost 2 in a row at one point. We haven't had back-to-back defeats at any point so far this season, and I think that's huge. That's what good teams do. They don't let themselves get caught in a rut. They don't let it go game on game, multiple games without winning or losing. So I think we've responded to setbacks really well this season, which I think is something that's gone a little bit under the radar. And now we're within this phase where we're winning, or at least not losing every single week. Those next 4 league games, so that's Luton, Forest, Fulham, and Bournemouth. We're
Spurs.
so. Have we not got Bournemouth? Where have I pulled that from?
No, you must be thinking of somebody else.
All right,
Luton, Forest, Fulham, Tottenham. Bournemouth is after the dual, so to be fair to you.
Okay, so I've got confused with the next 3 league games then. If I was offered, say, 7 points out of those 3 games, I wouldn't take it. Because
you wouldn't take it?
I wouldn't, no. Because
Luton, not Forest and Fulham, you want 9 points?
I don't want 9 points. I'm saying if someone said to me, Villa can have 7 points now, I wouldn't take it, because I realistically sit here thinking, I think we can win all 3 of those games, so I'll try for 9, thanks.
So when I just said you'd take 9, yes then.
What? You said 7?
I said, oh, did I? Oh,
it's not about taking it. I'm just saying, if someone offered me 7 points now, I wouldn't take it, because I think we can get 9.
Yeah.
It's not arrogance. It's just the form that I think we're on. I think we're a proper football team. Side that many teams should be frightened of and scared of. Again, I did talk sport on Monday, and he said, if I was offered 5th now, I wouldn't take it, because I'm not convinced there's 4 sides that are better than us.
I would take it.
I think there's 3 that will definitely finish ahead of us in City, not Newcastle, City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. After that, I think, well, why can't we finish 4th? I think we're as good as all those other teams that you potentially think could finish 4th. I think you look at the team Spurs have played. I think they've had an excellent start to the season. You can only beat what's put in front of you. But I think across the next 3 games, Villa could win their next 3 games, and we could be top. And you wouldn't bet against us winning those 3 games. So the season at the moment, what our ambition should be and what we're aiming for is very, very much up in the air, especially when you factor in as well the last 12 months in general, how we ended last season, qualifying for Europe from nowhere. In February, that didn't look like it was going to happen at all. In October, it certainly didn't. Our form across 34 games, I think they said on the commentary, that's top 4 form, maybe even top 3 form. So keep going. I don't think at the moment we should be setting targets, because I think we could easily get to Christmas and be hovering around the teams that are at the top of the league. Honestly, I really think that.
I agree, and I love the optimism and the ambition. But if you're saying the top 3 are going to be Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City in some order, and you wouldn't accept 5th, the best we can do is 4th, and they get you the same thing if 5th does get you Champions League.
We don't know yet, do we? We don't know if 5th.
Obviously, we don't know, of course. Yeah, 5th wasn't the Champions League, I would say, fight it out for 4th. But if you said to me now after 9 Premier League games, you can have 5th, I'm definitely taking that. It's too good. There's too much of a long way to go for Villa to drop off. I don't think they will do.
That's true, isn't it?
Yeah, I would take 5th if you offered me right now. But if you said, but there's a possibility you could get 2nd, I'd be like, okay, well, let's go for that then. But if it's 5th or 4th right now, I'd still just take 5th.
Yeah, I got a question for you that I was asked on TalkSport, and I reluctantly have kind of changed what I think. So he said, would I rather Villa qualify for the Champions League, or would I rather win a trophy? And for years, I've just said, I just want to win a trophy. I just want to win a trophy. It's all I want, and it is all I want. But I do think when you're up there and you've watched Newcastle, for example, have these Champions League nights, I would just love to experience that. And again,
did you say trophy then before?
I kind of sat on the fence a little bit. I said just about still a trophy. But when you
Champions League.
Would you?
Yeah,
I think most people probably still say the trophy, but
who won the FA Cup in 2013?
I don't know. 2013.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like
just a random year to choose as well.
Obviously, for Villa, if it was Villa, you know exactly when Villa won stuff. But generally, who remembers even the trophy winners or the runners up from years gone by.
Did Wigan win it in 2013?
Possibly. They did win it at one point, didn't they?
Yeah.
But also the question would be who qualified for the Champions League in 2013. You wouldn't know the answer to that either. But my thinking would be that...
You've negated your own point there.
My thinking would be that Villa can propel themselves more as a club as the Champions League place rather than an FA Cup winner.
And that's big with the manager as well, because the manager wants to do things at the highest level. I think ideally he wants to do them with Villa. I don't think there's any danger of him leaving or anything like that, Unai Emery, but this is a guy that's built for the highest level. So we need to be getting to the highest level possible. I mean, realistically, winning the Conference League and qualifying for Europa League, that's another step, isn't it? That's another bit of progress, and then maybe go for Champions League the year after. But I just think, Chelsea, I don't think are going to finish ahead of us. Man U are not the team that they were last season that finished third. I don't think there's much in it between us and Newcastle. Realistically, I don't think Brighton will be as good as last season. So far, I don't think they really have been as good as last season. So you're looking at it and thinking, like I said, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City. If we don't get bogged down with injuries, and this is the mad thing, we've already got 4 really big players. 3 of them are in our best 11, in my opinion. They have not played the entirety of the season, really, bar a couple of cameos from Ramsey. These players haven't played, and we're still doing what we're doing, and that's just mega, mega impressive.
We are on the verge, aren't we? One more injury to somebody in the first 11 would seriously derail us, I think.
Well, that would be the same with any team. You can't. If any team had 5 serious injuries across the first half of the season, you'd think that's going to be a problem for them. Man City lost a couple of players. De Bruyne and Rodri weren't playing for a few years. They lost both games, so injuries do have an impact. But the way, again, we've recovered from those setbacks. Really, I was thinking earlier when I was watching us that I thought Mings being out would completely destroy our season. I was just like, I don't see how we cope without him. But so far, we have coped without him. It's different. I think we'd be an even better side if Tyrone Mings was playing as well. But we've coped and responded to him not being there and adapted. There's all these little adaptations that I think go on that I can't even tell you what they are. But I think there's loads of stuff that happens in little intricacies in the way we play that we don't even notice. So I think the way we've responded to setbacks this season has been absolutely brilliant.
There's a nice comment here from Julian. I think I'll end the show now, who says, I don't like having to choose between what's more important over the course of a season. Yes, we want silverware, and yes, we want to be up there challenging for the Champions League, and both are possible. And I agree, both are possible. I just think, as much as I would love to win a trophy, I don't want to come across as like the trophy, the domestic competitions are unimportant, because even like in my lifetime, I've not seen us win anything. So even like the fanfare, and it's so minor in comparison, the fanfare of the playoff final and seeing a trophy of some description with clout and blue ribbons on and players lifting a trophy above their heads was great. So to do that with the League Cup or the FA Cup would be immensely special. I just think overall as a football club, if a top central midfielder becomes available in the transfer market for 60-odd million, what's more likely to bring them to the club? Villa finish 7th but win the FA Cup, or Villa finish 4th and playing PSG next season and Dortmund and whoever like Newcastle are. It's Champions League, isn't it? That's what football is geared towards these days. But winning the cup would be special.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because on the face of it, winning a trophy is a massive thing.
Yeah.
But that trophy doesn't get you what finishing in the top 4 or 5 gets you.
Exactly.
It doesn't get you the riches. It doesn't get you the pedigree. It doesn't. Villa win the FA Cup. Does that make them more appealing to potential signings from where they are now? If they don't win the FA Cup, I'm not sure it makes too much difference. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you're right, if they get top 4, top 5, that's massive. It does wonders for revenue streams and things like that, which enables you to get in better players and makes you more likely to stay where we are now for longer. Newcastle will reap the benefits in the next couple of years of having just spent 1 year in the Champions League because of the money.
Yeah,
it provides, and the fact that they'll be less bogged down by financial fair play. So.
And that wouldn't have happened if they'd have won the Carabao Cup last season in the final against Man United.
Yeah, exactly. It's but again, they were the same though. They're a similar situation. They haven't won anything for not longer than us, and they really, really wanted to win that Carabao Cup. But I bet now they're in the Champions League, they'll be thinking if we did have to choose, I'd probably choose this.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the AZ Alkmaar post-match reaction done, as we talked about pretty much everything but the game. But I like the wider conversation around the club and where we're heading, because it's certainly bright times ahead, isn't it? I think we can all agree. Dan, thank you very much for joining me and filling in for Matt Kendrick. What was it you were called? The Tin Pot Man Kendrick?
It was poor man's Matt Kendrick.
Poor man's Matt Kendrick.
Tin
Yeah.
Matt Kendrick.
Not true, though, in the end. A very enjoyable podcast.
Matt
And
Kendrick
thanks,
can't
everyone.
say your Phil King autograph stories.
To be fair, he probably could.
He's probably got other obscure stories about autographs, to be fair.
Thanks everyone for watching along live on Thursday evening. If you're catching up on Friday or before Luton, get involved in the comment section with the various debates we've had about Champions League or trophies and stuff. I'm keen to hear different opinions. We'll be back for some kind of preview for Luton Friday or Saturday. I'm not sure yet, and a post match for Sunday as well. So Dan, cheers for joining me. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you all very soon.